Hi, Courtney. Thank you so much for meeting with me today. I appreciate you letting me record your answers to make sure that this process is very smoothly. So, based on your experience, I feel like you'd be a great fit, but I wanted to ask a couple of additional questions so the managers at Wellstar could hear you speak and articulate different answers. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So the first question is, what does customer service in general mean to you?
I think it means putting the customer first before anything that goes on. Whether you're having a bad day at home or things aren't going your way, just putting your best foot forward and making sure that the customer or patient is taken care of as soon as they step in the door.
I completely agree. That's a great answer. The second question is, how can you improve a dissatisfied customer's experience?
I think, can you just say it again? I'm sorry.
Sure, yeah, no worries. How can you improve a dissatisfied customer's experience? And maybe it's more, how can you improve a dissatisfied patient's experience?
Gotcha. I would say I would start off by listening to what the patient has to say fully without interrupting. Sometimes, most of the time, a lot of problems I've noticed can be resolved before they even speak to someone or before they leave, but people really just want someone to listen to them. So I would start there. And then if the problem hasn't been resolved, I'll do it to the best of my ability before going to a manager. I've noticed a lot of times our desk staff can handle a lot of things that happen. So yeah, that'd be the way I would sort of handle a dissatisfied customer.
I think that's perfect. What would you do if you didn't know how to help a customer?
I would, if I have a coworker, I've usually worked with someone else at the front desk positions I've had, and between the two of us, we can figure out what's going on or how to help someone. But if that doesn't work, I would go to a manager and explain the situation in a private, and I would, if it's okay with the manager, take that information and go to the patient and resolve the issue. I've noticed sometimes that the manager would like to come up and do that themselves, but I'd really try to do it myself or with my coworker to see if we can, or both of our heads can fix the problem.
Smart. I like that. Describe a time you collaborated with a peer to solve a problem. And I think your previous answer is kind of a testament to that. So maybe you can tell me about a specific situation where you utilize that.
Yes. So at Ortho Atlanta, in my current position, I worked in the physical therapy department of an orthopedic clinic, and we were partnered with Piedmont. So Piedmont handled the billing, but of course the patients came to us and had many questions about it. There was one patient in particular who was pretty irate about every bill he got. Um, I am not But when I first started the job, I didn't know much about the billing system. It was a bit confusing, and it's hard to, I would say, work under pressure after experiencing someone scream at you for the first time. But let's see, I would say it really just took me listening to my coworker. She had dealt with him before. And so once I saw her kind of take charge and figure out what to do, what exactly to say, um, and really just listen to him about his problem with the bill that he got, um, we were able to kind of calm him down. He was disturbing the clinic at the time, but um, it was more so, I would say it was more so about listening to him. He really just was complaining about the bill. There were a couple of instances though where the coding was off, and so we just got back with the billing team. But I would say really trying to understand what the problem is instead of just seeing them as someone who's just shouting at you, because everyone has a bad day and maybe he was really upset for a reason. So figuring out that problem and resolving it without getting upset as well. I think that's really important to stay calm.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. And that actually answered one of the last questions I had about handling irate customers. And I see an overlapping trend with your answers about, just really listening to people, because people who are having a bad day, like you said, they just want to be heard. And when you listen to them and they feel heard, it can really de-escalate the situation. So I really like how you do that. And in addition to being able to listen very well, and collaborate with coworkers to solve problems, what other skills do you think a great customer service representative should have?
Time management and organizational skills I've learned they come in handy very well. There are a lot of times where the front desk staff doesn't just check in and check out. There are multiple tasks you need to get done before the end of the day. And so being very organized and being able to prioritize tasks, I've noticed is almost just as important as customer service.
I like it. Tell me about a time when you had to adjust to a change with a process. What was that process and what was the change and how did you handle that?
So at my current job, we work with 2 physical therapists, manage their schedules, and he's gotten ill very recently. He's been in the hospital for over a week, and we only had one other therapist, and her schedule has been full for about a month. So it has been very difficult managing his schedule and making sure that those patients who just had surgery can still be treated, so that they don't fall behind in their recovery process. So my coworker and we have moved around the schedule. We sat down with other therapists and we moved around her schedule almost every day to make sure every patient comes in. We make sure we confirm appointments. A lot of people, forget they have them scheduled and want to reschedule. So I would say that was probably the most, hard to put people on a spot where there are spots, but we really make it work. We've been going in early and staying a little later. So I think it's like a team effort, really, when everyone wants to get when everyone has the same goal, it's pretty easy to get a lot of things done.
Perfect. I like it. Tell me about a time when you had 3 things due at one time. How did you meet your deadline?
I would start off with prioritizing tasks. Let's see. I've always worked within a team, so if there were an overwhelming amount of tasks due, we would sort of allocate, okay, you work on this, I work on this. But if it was just me, I definitely would just prioritize and do the best I can. And then if it needs to be done within that day, I've never minded staying late to get some more stuff done after I'm done answering phone calls or checking in and checking out patients.
Perfect. Sounds like you're willing to go above and beyond to be a team player. What do you feel are maybe 1 or 2 of your strengths and weaknesses?
I would say 2 of my strengths are definitely customer service skills. I've been doing this, since high school, like everybody else. But I really enjoy it, and I think that helps me be good at it. I would also say I'm pretty organized. I cannot stand a messy desk. I always have a notepad with all my lists. I make sure everything's done by the end of the day. Phone calls and voicemails, I really like to make sure everything is organized and taken care of. Everyone is happy by the end of the day, hopefully. Weaknesses, I would say, because I tend to like to get everything done. It's difficult to sometimes, well, I'll say basically I can take too much that I can handle sometimes. I don't like saying no. So I'll pretty much like to go above and beyond, and sometimes that can catch up to me, I've noticed. I still do my best, but I'm really trying to, be realistic about my abilities.
I think that's fair. You don't have to name more than one.
Okay.
But it sounds like you're really working on it. I think that's great. And then you already answered the question about handling an irate customer. So I really appreciate your ability to do that. And where do you see yourself in the next few years, maybe up to 5 years?
I definitely want to master all of the skills that I will be learning in this new position, and hopefully growing within the WellStar organization.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to answer the questions on this recording. And the next step would be to submit your information over to the manager and go from there.
Okay,